Hey, good afternoon, students. Mr. Vinson here. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Now, what's going to be happening here in assignment 6, we're going to be grouping and we're going to be exploding, but not the explosions that you typically think of when you think of the word explode. Let's take a look together. Right here in SketchUp, I do have a new document. And what I want to have here is something where you can just open up a new file and not worry about what you're making, because we're going to be working on taking objects, grouping them together so that when we overlap them, we don't have to worry about stickiness where objects become one when you touch them. And so without any further delay, create a new document. I'm using feet and inches, but for this one, you can use whatever your heart desires. Just like always, for right now, I'm going to get rid of Temple. Sorry that she's gone. But at this point, what's going to happen is I'm going to click back to that two-dimensional view to start out with. Click the clapboard and then the middle option up there, and we're going to get this two-dimensional field. Now, when we make something in SketchUp using any of these tools, I'm just going to make a cube here. I want to remind you that we click and then let go of the mouse. So right now you can see that my hands are off the mouse. We can place the shape using the draw tool wherever we want it to be. And we can take a look down at the bottom down here and make sure that we've got the dimensions correct, okay? For this particular assignment, there's no need to stress about the dimensions. But what we are going to do is I'm going to make a cube to start with. And in order for it to be a cube, both sides' dimensions need to be the same. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 5 feet. I'm going to do that by just typing on my keyboard. Again, my hands are not touching the mouse. I'm just going to type 5 apostrophe. That's the symbol right next to the enter or return button, and then a comma and another 5 apostrophe. And when I do that, I have a square. And we haven't really done too much as far as three-dimensional views in SketchUp, but what we're going to look at right now is how to actually take that square and make it into a cube. And the way that I'm going to do this is we are going to be using the push-pull tool. Okay, so we've already learned what these different buttons do here. And in fact, the middle click wheel zooms when you scroll it, but it also, you can click it and you get the orbit tool. You can see that right there. It lists the red and green circle. So if I click the scroll wheel, I'm clicking it and I get the orbit tool, and then I can go a little bit and orbit some, come back, let go, come back down, click that middle tool, come back up. What I'm actually doing right here is getting the view that I want a little bit at a time. If you try to rotate 360 degrees around this, you won't get where you want to go. All right, now that we're here, you need to remember what size you made your cube. If you forgot, there is a tool called the tape measure, and the tape measure does just what it sounds. Watch how this works, okay? Again, I'm moving the mouse but not clicking. Where I want to start the tool, I click and then I let go. And I move the mouse at the opposite end and it will tell me that dimension. And so right over there, that way, you can see that it's 5 and apostrophe. A single apostrophe means foot. A double apostrophe means inches. So right now we have 5 feet is exactly. And so what I'm going to then do is press escape on the keyboard to get out of that tool. And I'm going to use the push-pull tool, this one right here. Push-pull. It looks like something from SimCity 2000. And what we're going to do with this tool is I'm going to click and let go. Okay, now we've done this before. We do not click and drag these tools. They do not function properly if you do. So I'm going to come up in the direction I want the extrusion to happen. And I'm actually going to type in again on the keyboard 5 apostrophe. And down there, it will actually show up as 5 apostrophe, and I'm going to press enter. And now I've got a cube. And using this click, I can pan around my cube. Again, just little pieces at a time. Pan around the cube. Okay. So now, if we were to go to the select tool and select, what we actually are doing is just selecting part of this shape, okay? And in this particular case, I've selected one face, and this face is on a single plane, and you can kind of tell that it's on a vertical plane here. And you can tell, just by clicking it, if it turns these little blue dots, it's all a face and all in the same plane. Now, what we actually need to do now is remember that we want to stay organized with this. And if I were going to move this object, I could, obviously take the move tool and I could start to move. But what's going to happen is it's only going to move the 1 point. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to group this entire shape into one group. And the way that I'm going to do that is by selecting it all. Obviously, you can just drag a box around it if it's separated from everything else on your workspace. And then what you're going to do is right click, and there's an option for make group. Right click, make group. Okay. So this is now a single entity. It is its own thing. When I click it, I don't just select the one face, the one endpoint, or the one edge. I select the entire shape. Okay. So this is what we want right here. If it is all one group, I want you to have it clicked just like that. Like in all the rest of our assignments, you do need to name it. So I'm going to call this assignment 6 group. Okay. Before you turn it in, I do want to show you one thing, point out one thing. We can actually, I'm going to save it. We can make a copy of this entire group just like we did before with Control C and Control V. And I'm not clicking, but as soon as I click, you'll see that right now, what we've actually got is an overlap. Okay. SketchUp is sticky. And so what that actually means is that when you put two objects together, they become one. But because I have these grouped, I've still got two separate objects that I can control. Now, you might be saying, Mr. Vinson, what if I want to ungroup something? Well, you might not actually want to ungroup it. You can always double-click the object, and then it will just highlight that specific object. You can do whatever edits you want. Double click somewhere else and it will go out of that. If you truly want to ungroup, the opposite of group is explode. And so I can select both of these objects. I can right click and I could make them a single solitary group, or I could right click again and you'll see there's explode. Explode is the opposite of group. Explode is the opposite of group. So if I click explode and then over here I click explode, I've now got two objects that are connected, and as far as SketchUp is concerned, they are one object. So at this point, once you're here, I want you to take this whole object, group it again, just like this. This is what you're turning in for step 6. Thanks so much for watching.